Welcome back to Living in Austin, Texas. In this video, we will be talking about the 5 most affordable places to live near Austin, Texas, because let's face it, Austin has become above and beyond the most expensive city to live in the state of Texas, but at the same time, not everyone wants to live in Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, so on and so forth. Austin might be the only option that they have to move to or want to move to, but perhaps is too expensive to really get your foot in the door. So we are going to remedy that in this video, and hopefully one of these places might be right for you. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, my name is Frank. I work with the Living in Austin group, a team of agents at eXp Realty, and we help people just like you relocate to the greater Austin area, finding that perfect spot and making that move as smooth as possible. So do not hesitate, reach out to our team any day of the week, any time of day. It is what we love to do. So yes, as mentioned in this video, we are talking about the 5 most affordable places to live near Austin, Texas, because let's face it, a lot of people either want to or need to move to Austin, Texas, as opposed to other places in the state of Texas, but are naturally scared away by that hefty price tag that the city itself has, not necessarily keeping in mind, however, that there are places a bit removed from the city that are affordable enough for first-time buyers or people just wanting to get their foot in the door and be close to Austin, Texas, have access to the city. So let's get right to it. Now, before we get to number 5, first I thought we would start with an honorable mention, or I suppose technically number 6, but still worth mentioning, and that would be Manor, Texas. It has a median home price of right around $360,000 and is approximately 20 minutes away from the heart of downtown Austin. Now, I will be honest with you guys, in the case of Manor, Texas, and as is the case with some of the other places that we'll get to on this list, Manor, Texas doesn't necessarily have a lot to offer, at least in terms of things to do. What makes Manor, Texas most attractive, honestly, aside from its price tag, would be its proximity to Austin, as mentioned, which is that 20-minute drive. So when you're in Manor, Texas, if you're looking for things to do that are just a hop and a skip away in the town itself, it might not be right for you. A lot of people who live in Manor and want to participate and have fun and do things like that, or perhaps go to their jobs, go to work, are going to do so out of Manor, Texas. So in the spirit of transparency, that is what you can expect from a place like that. But again, when Austin is so close, all of a sudden it makes sense. All right, with the ever so brief honorable mention out of the way, now let's get to the real actual list and begin at number 5. We have Kyle, Texas. Kyle, Texas is going to have a median home price of right around $350,000. And again, for context, not just with Kyle, but for every place on this list, remember the median home price in Austin, Texas itself is right around $600,000. And the other popular, more in-demand towns and suburbs outside of downtown Austin are easily going to be $550,000, $500,000, $475,000, $450,000, etc. So when we have numbers like $350,000, which is the most expensive place on this list, that's just crazy to think about. So regarding Kyle, Texas, what I personally like about it, say when contrasted with Manor, for example, is that Kyle is going to have more to do. Kyle is going to have its own charm. It's going to have, to some extent, its own history. Kyle, I would say, is booming. It has more development going as opposed to Manor, Texas. However, unfortunately, with Kyle, you are going to be about 30 to 40 minutes removed from the city of Austin, about 30 to 40 minutes south of downtown. So for example, with Manor, for instance, while it doesn't have a ton to do, you're pretty close to the city, and with Kyle, with more to do, you're further away. It's kind of that give and take type of thing. But nonetheless, Kyle is up and coming. Kyle is very pretty, and if you don't mind the commute to downtown, with that price tag in mind, I might add, it might be exactly what you're looking for. Keeping it moving, up next at number 4, we have Taylor, Texas, with a median home price of $330,000, which to me, again, is just crazy to think about. However, when we talk about Taylor a bit more, it starts to make sense. So on this channel, I do keep it brutally honest and blunt, not to discourage you, not to dissuade you, but so that you know what to expect, especially when you're relocating from out of state and you're not necessarily here to check it out in person with us and our team quite yet. So in the case of Taylor, Texas, the best way I can describe Taylor, Texas is green and flat. The example I always like to use is, let's say you go there with your dog and your dog runs away. 2 days later, you can still see your dog running. That's how I would describe Taylor, because it's not even necessarily underdeveloped in terms of its aesthetic, in terms of its appearance, in terms of its vibe. It's just kind of rural. That's the best word I would use to describe it. And don't get me wrong, there are things to do. It has its own shopping to some extent. It's not like you're in the middle of nowhere. However, aesthetically, if you will, it can feel like that. Now, the plus side, however, assuming you don't like that, because a lot of people do like that atmosphere, they like that vibe, but let's say you don't and you just like the price of it. The good news is that Taylor, Texas is getting a Samsung plant. Yes, Samsung as in the Samsung. It's going to be a multi-billion-dollar factory in Taylor, Texas. And that'll tell you just how wide open Taylor really is. All that empty space they have, they're building that gigantic factory there. So what I'm getting at is that is going to make Taylor more developed. It is naturally going to have an effect on the growth of the town as more and more people live there and its population increases. They're going to have to keep up. So that's a good thing if you live in Taylor, Texas and you're a bit bored, because rest assured in the coming years it is going to change. Another way that's good as well is, let's say you buy a house in the 300s in Taylor, Texas, and then an influx of people begin moving there and the value of homes go up, you're going to see great appreciation and return on your investment should you ever decide to relocate out of Taylor, Texas to a place closer to Austin. And that's the thing, closer to Austin is the key word, because in the case of Taylor, Texas, it is approximately 40 minutes removed in the direction of north from downtown. So combined with its scenery, if you will, you really are kind of going to feel like you're in the middle of nowhere. And if you don't like having to drive 40 minutes to the heart of where everything's going on, again, it might not be the right fit for you. All right, moving right along, at number 3, we have Jarrell, Texas, with a, wait for it, median home price of right around $305,000. It just continues to baffle me that there are places this affordable in the context of being in the greater Austin area. However, once again, as I talk about it, it will make sense. And that's the thing with all the places on this list. They all kind of have things in common and reasons why they are so affordable. Catches, if you will, because no place is perfect. And of course, price tags are going to reflect that. So in the case of Jarrell, Texas, it is way north of downtown Austin. It is approximately 40 to 50 minutes on average. And if you factor in rush hour traffic, forget about it. So this is even more of a headache, at least if you're talking about not just wanting to go and have fun and do recreational things in Austin, but God forbid you commute and you need to commute to, say, the corporate hub in downtown or something like that. So keep that in mind regarding Jarrell. Something else I'll say about Jarrell is similar to Taylor. There's not a ton going on because I would describe Jarrell as a suburb of a suburb. And what I mean by that is it's very close to Georgetown, Texas. And Georgetown, Texas, for what it's worth, is one of the most popular in-demand towns, cities, suburbs outside of the city of Austin, where a lot of people live. And so just north of Georgetown, it has its own little suburb, which is Jarrell. And in a place like that, you're going to have neighborhoods and you're going to have some shopping and grocery stores and things of that nature. But again, not really a ton to do. Now, when compared to a place like Taylor, I would say you have more to do in Jarrell, and you can easily just drive to Georgetown, which has an abundance of things to do, or even Round Rock for that matter. But yes, otherwise, that price tag does make sense when you are weighing what Jarrell has to offer specifically and its proximity, again, to downtown Austin. But in my opinion, I consider it a bit of a steal because once you check out Round Rock or Georgetown and everything that they have to offer, and you factor in that you're maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes away from Jarrell, then it's kind of a bit of a no-brainer if you don't mind that shorter drive. Either way, with a price tag like that, you simply cannot ignore it. And if your budget is around that price point as well, and you're not necessarily looking for the most popular suburbs with the best schools in the greater Austin area, it can make a lot of sense for a lot of people. Now, real quickly before proceeding, let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. If we've been providing any value for you, consider clicking the like button as it helps our channel grow. Remember to subscribe, and lastly, share our content with anybody you know who's wanting to learn more about living in Austin, Texas. Up next at number 2, we have Elgin, Texas, with a median home price of just around $300,000. But at least in the case of a place like Kyle, Texas, it's charming. You have your own things to do. In the case of a place like Taylor, you have the promise of a future with the Samsung plant and development and growth. Or even as mentioned, Jarrell, you're close enough to Round Rock or Georgetown, two gigantic hubs of the greater Austin area in their own right. But in the case of Elgin, Texas, you are approximately 30 to 40 minutes removed from the city, which again isn't so bad when there's a ton to do in your town. Otherwise, when you factor in that proximity combined with it just not having a ton to offer in its own right, it is going to feel a bit less desirable in that way. But again, you cannot deny the price tag, and for a lot of people who just want to be close enough to Austin, maybe within an hour, who aren't necessarily looking for their town to have major employers or tons of fun things to do, and who honestly just want an affordable option to own property and be in the greater Austin area, Elgin is the type of place that makes sense for that kind of buyer. All right, coming in at number 1, drum roll please, we have Lockhart, Texas, with a, once again, wait for it, median home price of right around $295,000 in the greater Austin area. How crazy is that? I mean, the fact that even 3s exist, like the first digit being a 3, that alone is just mind-blowing. But once you get to the 2s, that's just, I don't know, I just get all excited about it because there are just a lot of options for people and they would never know it. So in the case of Lockhart, Texas, yes, $295 with its median home price, and you are just about 30 to 40 minutes removed from downtown Austin, which is very similar to Elgin, the place I just talked about. However, in the case of Lockhart, what I personally like about it is it's very pretty to look at. It has its own rich history. It's been dubbed the barbecue capital of Texas. There are shops, there are live music, there are festivals that it has locally. So in a way, with its price tag being the lowest on this list, you would almost expect it to be the quote-unquote worst place on the list, but I would argue it's one of the best, if not the best places to live on this list. So Frank, what's the catch, you might ask? Well, honestly, aside from its proximity to downtown, there really isn't one. I mean, what I will say about Lockhart is because of its history and its charm, which I subjectively find appealing, it is going to be a bit older, but even still, you're going to have new developments and new communities anyway. So the best way I can describe Lockhart, Texas, acknowledging that it really doesn't have a catch, so to speak, is that it is a hidden gem. And I'm probably pissing off a lot of people who happily live in Lockhart, which hasn't been bombarded by people relocating to the greater Austin area, so I apologize if I'm exposing it and putting it on the map. But to be honest with you guys, a lot of people need or want to move to Austin, Texas, and they are within a certain budget. Who am I to deny them of a potentially terrific option for them? Lockhart is just so cool. I mean, even tourists who come to the greater Austin area to check out Austin or to go to ACL or South by Southwest, one of its festivals, even they will take a day trip to Lockhart as tourists because it is that cool, quirky kind of place. But do not get me wrong, Lockhart might not be right for you. And as is the case with any of these other places on the list, any particular one of them might be right for somebody, but not quite right for you. And again, that is what we are here for, helping people just like you relocate to the greater Austin area, making that move as smooth as possible, but most importantly, finding that perfect spot, taking you on tours, or if it's long distance, recording videos of home tours for you guys of neighborhoods. Worth mentioning as well, when you're looking at the most affordable, at least by Austin standards, places to live in the greater Austin area, they're not going to be perfect. They might leave a bit to be desired. I think anyone would agree. You're not trying to move to a town, city, or suburb with a median home price of $850,000 with views of the hills or the lake or luxurious homes, things like that. But again, so many people either want or need to be close enough to the city of Austin and have that access and just get their foot in the door. So do not hesitate. Whether you are 9 days away or 90, reach out to our team. Whether you shoot us a text, send us an email, give us a call any time of day, any day of the week. And of course, in case you're new, on this channel, we talk about living in Austin, Texas, the good and yes, the bad. So consider subscribing if you haven't already and ringing that little bell to get notified anytime we put out a new video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Click the like button if we've been providing any value for you. Share it with anybody you know. And until the next one, you guys, my name is Frank. This is Living in Austin, Texas, and we will absolutely catch you later.